Hello, welcome back to Lit Open Podcast. I'm your host, Charna Cassell, somatic therapist, sex educator, and a guide through the tender terrain of healing and intimacy and regaining vitality after trauma. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to offer a gentle trigger warning. This is part 2 with Ariella Daly. In this second part of the episode, Ariella shares her experience as a survivor of sexual assault and the creative healing process that follows. Please take care of yourselves as you listen. Pause when you need to, and know that you're not alone. There are also going to be resources listed in the show notes. Today's guest is Ariella Daly. She's a dream worker, animist, and beekeeper with over 15 years of experience tending hives and teaching others how to approach bees, nature, and their own lives through intuition, animism, and ecological care. Welcome, Ariella.
Learn how to live embodied. Your life is about to unwind. Uncover new tools and start healing. Leave trauma and tension behind. Isn't it great laid open? Let all your desires come true. How can you live laid open? Imagine yourself brand new. Imagine yourself brand new.
I'm so glad to have you here.
Hi, thank you, Sharna. I'm really happy to be here as well.
I know that there's a more recent experience that you went through, and that
Yeah,
dreaming has been able to be a resource for you and helping you heal through.
absolutely. Yeah. I think that, I'm very grateful to the tools in my toolkit and to dreaming. And, as I say, my dream work came through nightmares. There are so many tools out there to actually work through nightmares where you don't have to analyze them necessarily, but converse with them.
Mhm.
You're going to hear me say this in so many ways. Relating, how to be relational with, how to converse with the nightmare or the aspect of the nightmare that needs to tell you something.
Yeah.
And, we can do that after the dream. Dream work isn't just about the dream itself, but then we can also set the intention to heal. So as many women and humans, all humans experience, but unfortunately many women and trans people experienced. I was in a relationship with somebody very short-lived. It was a reconnection with a very old friend, someone I had been really close with in high school. And, we weren't as close over the years. We reconnected. And sadly, I experienced sexual assault. And as a woman in her 40s who spent her whole life, my whole adult life healing from something, I didn't think it was possible. I thought I had so many, like, my radar was keyed into this stuff. But it was possible. And that was very shocking for me to find out that actually you can still be assaulted at this age by someone who you thought you trusted. And of course, again, we know that
Yeah.
a lot of rape and sexual assault comes from people we are close to and people we know.
Mhm.
But it's very different listening to the statistics and then becoming a statistic. And so of course, I have been in therapy for right away, pretty much right away. It took, some like strange moments of like randomly shaking in the kitchen, being like, "What is going on with me?" To finally seek therapy. So a couple of months, but I got on it right away. I ended it immediately. I have a child. Like there was absolutely not, but it was an assault and it was violent. And it was somebody I really thought I knew. So it's all very shocking. And what I found out about the person afterwards was even more shocking. And my dreams, of course, became dark. I had to deal with the trauma. I had to have the nightmares. And so in this way, it wasn't that I didn't want to have the bad dreams, but that I was really making a commitment to moving through the material, not just getting stuck in the loop. And so I really tracked my dreams rather than turning away, I turned towards them and I asked for help. So I really brought the bees in. I do a meditation all the time where I'm going into a hive and I'm held by the hive sisters
Mm.
as I'm going into deeper work, even if I'm seeking a dream about like honey and abundance. But what was important for me was that I rewrite my relationship to my eros because sexual eros is it is a through line in my life. I claim it. I love my sexual energy. I love eros, eros, eros as it moves through all things. And I connect with sexual energy through nature. We're very erotically tied to nature. So, the breeze, the feeling of the sun, the warm fire, the openness of a landscape can all make me feel very alive and aroused. And when you get assaulted, you get robbed of that for a little while. And so I used my dreams to intend to reconnect with my erotic self free of him.
Yeah.
And I watched myself heal over time. Of course, it's a trauma. I will be working with this for my whole life, but I watched my dreams shift. And that's the key is to watch for the shift.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, to just be able to handle touch in a dream, like that's telling me that something's healing.
Yeah.
And each layer, I'd have a bad dream, I'd work with it, and then I'd keep working it until I was able to have a dream that I would say was either neutral or actually a reclaiming.
Yeah.
Because we can only do so much reclaiming in our heads. The rest has to happen in our bodies for our felt experience. And for me in my dreams, where I'm able to dream freely,
Mm-hmm.
not to be pursued.
Mm.
So, and a lot of that meant like dreaming where I stand up to him and send him away, all of that. But then for me, it's really about can I get to that place where I can experience eros, erotic connection, pleasure in my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially if you're not partnered, or even if you are partnered, your dreams can be one of the most profound places to experience sensual life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. God, there's so much in what you just said because there's so many directions I want to go in. First of all, I resonate with this notion of, oh, I'm attuned. I know signs. I may even be alert, but embodied, so feel safe enough and I trust myself in terms of choosing partners and all of that. And then to be so caught off guard and how scary and how unsettling. And
Yes.
so just I'm really sorry that happened.
Because it shakes that trust that you've developed and you've worked on for so long. That's the thing, that embodiment, that trust. So, yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that
Thank you
trust
for
with
that.
yourself and yes, there's trust with others, but that trust with yourself and then going
Yes.
like, how do I trust myself? And then that piece that is so important. And I love that. And I love that you're out there as a resource guiding people through this process. Um, I spent a couple months at one point tracking all of my dreams and like titling them and then noticing what are my reoccurring dream symbols. And that was one of the most profound things for me was tracking. So my stepfather was one of my abusers and
Mm.
tracking, seeing the themes that would show up in my dreams, and then also seeing how my relationship to the symbols changed.
Yes. And
Right.
that's where the work part comes in. That's where I've worked my dreams.
Yeah.
So they are changing. And that means to me when I see that, oh, the healing is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while, you'll have a really profound dream that then ripples out into how you're able to walk through life.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're like, okay, and now she's ready.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Mm-hmm.
do the thing, or you confront the thing, or you have the transformation, you have the death and rebirth in the dream world, whatever it is. And then something shifts.
Right. And so moving from, for instance, like being frozen or not wanting to be touched, as you said, to like you having a voice and confronting
Yes.
a threatening symbol.
Hmm.
One of my reoccurring dreams, I'm very curious. I've tried Googling it and haven't had a satisfying answer. I wake up an hour after I go to sleep This is a reoccurring experience. It doesn't happen all the time. The first time that I was very aware of it was actually felt like a profound breakthrough. It was at a silent retreat,
Mm.
and I woke up and there was a man who was on my my work duty. He was in my work duty group. We washed dishes together at Spirit Rock. He was standing over my bed, and I screamed no, and I got up and I went to the door, and I woke up and I was holding the doorknob. I walked in my sleep, and it was a silent retreat. And so the woman on duty came in and was like, "Are you okay? Like, what's happening? You just screamed." It all happened in my sleep, and I'm pretty convinced his spirit was in my space.
Mhm.
But I have this recurring dream of it's a and it happens an hour after I go to sleep, and there's a male figure over my bed, or at it coming into the room, and it feels so real. And I've learned to not be panicked by it. Like I can just go, I go back to sleep. But it happened again on a silent retreat. Same thing. And I thought that was actually a good sign because I broke silence, right? I literally screamed or said no. But the 1 hour after is really fascinating to me, and I wondered about is it's like pre-REM.
Yes. So to your listeners, there's a sleep cycle, right? We have that first we have many sleep cycles throughout the night, and the REM cycle is the last of the 4 stages of sleep. The first stage where light sleep, drifting, then we go into the next stage, deeper, and then the third stage is deep sleep, where we're restoring our organs, and then we come back into REM sleep. And as the night goes on, the REM sleep periods get longer and longer, usually starting at about 10 minutes to getting up to maybe even like just like 40 minutes or something like that. I can't remember exactly. So you're not supposed to wake up right away in the early parts of the night because that's when you're doing your deeper restorative sleep.
Mhm.
That's when your organs are replenishing themselves. I closed my eyes when I was listening because I teach a practice called dream mirroring where I go, I went inward just to hear the dream in the dark as a
Mm.
rather than just thinking about it.
Mhm.
And in my immediate sense was this feeling of your body, this there's there's a connection. And since you have shared with me what that you did experience trauma at a young age from your stepfather, there's the sense is like there's something in your body. It was almost like I could see this healing process taking place in your sleep, and then like it hit this spot in the body and triggered the wake up. That's like it's still it's there. There's a it just I. It's almost like if I was working with you,
Mm.
I might do a series of let's dream with your different organs and
Mm.
just see like
Mhm.
what is your liver wanting to share with you?
Mhm.
What do your kidneys have to say? Like what's stored so deep that it's actually in the interior processes and is ready to come out? Because when you're waking up like that, it's to me that's the signal like ready to come out and you're
Yeah.
doing it. You're
Mhm.
screaming, you're saying no.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so there's this like, no, no, like I will, it's doesn't feel so much like, um, I mean, yes, we do have night terrors when we've gone through PTSD that happens,
Mhm.
that's similar, but I would just be so curious about like
Mhm.
deeper inner processes that are in their healing, your body's healing, and you just, there's like a point that wants attention.
Mhm.
And again, I would say that without having any sense of like there's something wrong with you. That's not
Yeah.
at all. But I'd be curious about places that are harder to access with our mind. Cause like, how do we even conceptualize? Like, we can conceptualize the heart, but how do we conceptualize the liver or the
Mm.
kidneys or the spleen? These like, this something that's like deep regenerative
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah, totally. I wanna put a plug in for qigong, which, that I imagine you've
Yeah.
engaged in these practices of, like, going into the organs and, like, smiling and
Yeah.
listening and feeling, and I can totally I do actually contact my organs. I've been spending a lot of time contacting my heart and my esophagus lately. because, in Chinese medicine, how different times of night, different organs are more active and they will just wake you up. Like I used to wake up at 3 or 4
Yeah,
a.m. And
exactly.
it's like, oh, my lungs are needing to process something.
Exactly. Yeah, I forgot all about that. That's
Mm.
true. That is a Chinese medicine thing. And it helps. I'm never one to discount the biological processes. That there is a thing that happens where we wake up earlier in the night when that those can range in terms of from nightmares to night terrors, which people
Yeah.
don't remember. In this case, you are remembering it. There are processes happening, but you're asking like, what is it about this 1 hour in and this deep
Yeah.
process? My intuitive sense would be to not try to figure out who he is or what's waking you, like to go into the body process.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you.
Hmm.
I'm curious about the work that you do with dreamers and if you do any group dreaming processes and because thinking about like dreaming for self, but also dreaming for the collective good, dreaming to heal the earth, dreaming to heal, atrocities that are happening in other places
Yeah,
and how we can collectively come together and do that work.
yeah, absolutely. I perceive the earth as conscious and us as an extension of that consciousness. So we are of the earth and stars just as much as a rock is, just as much as a squirrel is. So we are all of the earth and we are these expressions of the earth made manifest, and we are able to reflect on our existence as the earth, as expressions of the earth. And we are tied to the energy field around the earth. And I believe that one of those things that where we can touch those connections, that an intricate weave of life force
Hmm.
is through our dreams.
Mm.
And that in our dreaming, as I've already said, reality becomes immutable, where we can change the outcome, which is again something I might reflect back to the dream you just shared is there's something that's ready for a change. And it's almost like you've got part one and part two is just on the way. Like you said no, but there's one more piece that's still coming. And my sense is you're gonna get it's just gonna come. It's gonna come through the work you're already doing. But there's this place in the dreaming where we might, as an example, sort of infuse or strengthen a tie or strengthen a connection or strengthen the pattern. Right now, the pattern is pretty intense to look at. There's a lot of suffering happening. There's a lot of climate change. There's a lot of biodiversity loss and human suffering and atrocities. And we can get stuck there and overwhelmed by that and fall into the apathy that the beautiful late ancestress Joanna Macy spoke to so well. She just passed recently, but she spoke of this apathy and how we have to move past the apathy into the grief and then into the healing. So in terms of collective work, I think that we can seed our dreams and thus our reality. And so by choosing to dream together, we're strengthening. If we dream the same intention on the same night, everybody's strengthening each other's ties and connection and weave. And when we do that, it's like an acupressure point. It's like a beacon. So let's say we are dreaming for messages. I'm actually actively doing this right now with a group of women I dream with every 2 weeks, dreaming for messages from the spirit of water towards what we need to know or how we can actively help heal, and then collecting the dreams and
Mm.
seeing what's the greater message, treating all the dreams like one great dream.
Mhm. Mhm.
And let me tell you, it's addictive. You start to see, oh, whoa, like we are all dreaming. Like it is coming through. I give an example, like let's say either, someone's dreaming of a postal worker and someone dreams of wings and someone else dreams of um, writing, writing messages and together it all starts to feel like, oh, the messenger god, the Mercury, the messenger god is coming through as an example of a deity.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
seemed like it at first, but when
Yeah.
you start to look, there's this collective weave happening.
Mm,
And to me, it reminds me of the work you've seen people do, like with the power of water, where you all
mhm.
pray over water and watch the molecular patterns change in the water. Same idea. The earth is very receptive to our dreaming toward active change.
Mhm.
The one caveat I will say to that is I don't do that with this sort of spiritual bypassing, I'll just dream and that's enough. It's more of a how can I be in right relationship with? How can we be in concert with the earth and hear and listen and then affect change, both
Mhm.
through actively dreaming, just like the spontaneous healings we hear about and the Asclepians, and through receiving messages and treating them like prescriptions. Here's what you do.
Right, and directives, like
Records,
requests,
yes.
being able to hear the requests if you listen
And
and
sometimes they're quite literal and physical, and other times they're more esoteric or metaphysical.
mhm.
And
But
and that can go down to the macro. I worked with a single beehive and had multiple people dream about it to find out what it needs.
yeah, so beautiful. So I love that. So you are actively doing group dreaming.
Yes.
So good.
All my dreaming classes are group dreaming classes
Mhm,
and we do talk about dream activism, as I call it, dream activism.
mhm,
One of my favorite things also is every Christmas I do 12 days of Yule and I give a dreaming theme for each night for anybody who wants to do it. But then I have everyone send in their dreams for 2 of the night and we synthesize them as a collective dream. So one of the nights is called Mother's Night, which is the night before solstice or the night before Christmas Eve, depending Christmas, so Christmas Eve. But it's this idea of dreaming with the ancestral mothers, and it comes
mhm.
from Anglo-Saxon and Scandinavian traditions. But it's beautiful to see what the collective brings in, and then turn it into one, what you could say, like oracular transmission, and give it back to everyone.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's so yeah. Oh my god. And there's sensory recapitulation is a
Mhm.
practice that you mentioned that perhaps you could guide us in a little exercise.
Oh, certainly. Right. Yeah. Hmm. I'd be happy to. Hmm. So, where to start with that? Sensory recapitulation. Recapitulation is this idea of going back over. So it's a great way for memorizing information, for instance, to play it back over in your head, to commit it to memory. And people who work with remember, like I used to do this a lot with remembering conversations throughout my life.
Mm,
Our body is also experiencing, we're having all our senses are experiencing our day and experiencing our dreams. So sensory recapitulation has two parts to it. The first is to go back over your day at the end of your day when you're going to bed. And this is going to train you to pay attention to your day, but through your senses. And I take people through what I work with 7 senses in this case. So of course your 5 senses and then 2 others. I'll do a very brief version of this to follow up, but that would be through your day. So you're going through your day and you're noticing sound, you're noticing scents that you experienced, and no judgment, just different scents, different sounds. Of course, a touch and being touched, texture, that sort of thing, the feeling of the air, heat, cold, a sight. And I always approach sight as what did you witness? What did you behold? If you were to go back in your day and just pause and stop and watch and be present to, what would it be? Because we're so visual and we see our day. So, what would it be? Where would you pause, stop, witness? And then taste. I think I haven't said taste. And not just food, but like the taste of the air, the taste of, taste. And then the emotional ranges and cadence of our day, not just did you have a good day or a bad day, but what was the range of your day? Where did you feel different things?
yeah.
And finally, were there any intuitive moments, intuitive hits, knowings? And I love to give the example of just that feeling of I should call someone. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about you. We most people had something like that in their life. Oh, the synchronicities. So look for the synchronicities, look for the intuitive moments, look for the part of yourself that said, I really shouldn't go on that trip. And you overrode it. Come back to those moments, check in with that intuition. And then here's the fun part. When you wake up in the morning, you do it with a dream. So if we have time, I'm going to do a very, very brief version of this, but I want you to, do you have a dream? Can you think of a dream from recently? Just take a second. I want you to go ahead and close your eyes. If we had a little bit more time, we'd probably do like a longer drop in, but for now, we're just going to close our eyes and breathe. Be with breath. Nothing to change about your breath, nothing to fix or augment, just to be with breath. Breath is a spirit that has been with you since you left your mother's womb. So constant. This force of life, this soul wind, pneuma, breath. And there are your feet, there is your spine, there's the earth beneath you. There's the earth rising up to meet you exactly as you are. Breath, earth, and darkness, giving way to your interior landscape. And from here, I just want you to play the dream over, even if it's just a fragment. To replay it, to see it, to remember it. You're watching and want to pause the recording and read the dream again, and then close your eyes. You wrote it down, for instance. There is your dream, there's the earth, there is your breath. And you're going to revisit your dream now through the sense of sound. What were the sounds of your dream, the conversations? Is there anything that stands out or anything that might have been? Were you to revisit this place? What could it have been, the sounds moving through? And fluidly moving from sound into taste and scent. Were there any tastes? Were there any scent? Could there have been taste and scent in your dream? we're just going to keep going, thinking that this is a brief scan, moving to the sense of touch, texture, heat, cold, rough, smooth, soft, hard. The sense of texture, touch, and being touched. Noticing how your body feels as you go through this, as you see different aspects of your dream. And as you come to the points of your dream that you or the dream itself is asking you to witness, what does the dream want you to see? What does the dream want you to see? And notice how your body receives that seeing. Continuing to move along, we're going to ask, how did you feel? How did you feel in the dream? How did you feel on waking? How did you feel? What were your emotions in the dream? Don't try to make sense of anything, just noticing. Again, we're going to keep moving just for the sake of the exercise, knowing you can stretch this out anytime. And lastly, you're going to ask 2 questions. The first is, when you first woke, or even in this moment, was there anything that you feel you know about this dream? What we might call a gut feeling, an intuitive hit. The second is to frame it similarly, but a little bit from a different angle, and ask the question, what does the dream want you to know? What does the dream want you to know? Bringing that all back down as if gathering in the threads of your dream, and asking, where does the dream want to settle, to rest, to be integrated into your body? Where can your body lovingly hold the dream? Without needing to change it, just noticing, where can your body hold the dream? And when you feel that that has settled, that the threads have arrived and settled, and come back into the space, into the light, just knowing, noticing if there's any new information you gathered from your dream by visiting it through your senses.
Thank you.
It was a bit quick, but that's the podcast.
It was beautiful. I love how somatic it is. You know, this is basically any of my clients listening, you can use this as a daily practice, right?
Yeah, and slow it down.
And it goes into, it's like the quality of being, capital BEE, beingness. And that if, like you said, if, slowed down, you get to savor the experience of existing and being. And there's so much information
Yeah.
in each one of these senses.
Yeah, and I find sometimes people don't have any connection to scent, but you never know. There might be, like a good example is like in the dream, what you remembered was that I was in the Arctic and I fell in the ocean. And that's the story. Oh my God, what does that mean? I don't know what that means, but what about if you go back and visit the sunset experience and suddenly you realize, well, when I fell in the ocean was quite soft and warm.
Mhm.
Now it's a different piece of information coming your way.
Mhm.
So yeah, it can be really helpful to check in with the body.
Beautiful. I feel like I could talk to you forever.
I know.
We have to wrap it up, but I would love to continue these conversations with you in some other way. And how can the listeners find you?
The two main places are my website and my social media. So I'm on Instagram at beekeeping and skirts. And then my website is honeybeewild, BEE, honeybeewild.com. I teach dream classes and beekeeping classes and long form beekeeping apprenticeships for women. So yeah.
Amazing. And you're in Santa Rosa or where?
I'm in Santa Rosa. Most of my classes are online, but occasionally I do immersions here and retreats.
Thank you so much. This has been really beautiful.
Thank you so much as well. And thanks for the rawness and vulnerability of the content and the questions and the full range that you hold. You clearly can hold a very full range of life's experience and let it still run through you and bring that life force to everyone who you encounter. It's beautiful to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you. I would love to go into this more deeply another time, but I just love how you brought your healing and your relationship to the earth and to your body back to Eros. Like you healed back through that. And that just takes a level of commitment to beauty and to presence and to feeling. And that, a lot of us can harden and not want to go there. And I love that you just like keep turning towards
Mm.
and peeling the layers back. So that's just really beautiful. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, like, rate, and review it and share it with your friends. And if you want to stay connected, you can find me at Laid Open Podcast on Instagram, LAIDOPEN PODCAST, or on Facebook under Laid Open Podcast. You can also check out more about my work at passionatelife.org, and charnacassell.com is where you can find my course, my workbook, as well as listen to episodes and read my blog. So I look forward to next time, and thank you so much for tuning in.